Yeah.
I have the keys of the classroom with me.
Yeah.
Is it okay if I hold on to it until we finish the interview?
Yeah, I guess yes. So I don't think it's okay.
All right, let's start. I'm excited.
Yeah. So you're teaching here, I know, for a year. Yeah.
Year and a half, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I would like to know your experience and from your point of view, or university and all study process, teaching process. So first thing I would like to know is what is teaching for you?
So that's a really interesting question, honestly, because I have been also thinking about it ever since we had that meeting with, I don't exactly remember which country they were from, but they came here for training.
Oh, Estonian, our
Yes,
Estonian
Estonians,
partners.
yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to say Norway for some reason.
Oh,
So
it's
ever
really
since,
nice.
ever since they came here to have a meeting with us, I've been thinking about what is teaching for me and what am I really teaching my students, how am I conducting the classes and everything. So it gave me a different perspective, honestly. But what has always been a constant for me is being a lecturer and instructor for students, especially younger ones, like first year students or second year, third year students that I have taught, it is more than just teaching them a subject. They subconsciously or consciously really look up to you. And that's been something that I was a little bit conscious about at first, but then I embraced it and it felt great because I thought, well, all of the things that I wish I knew as a medical student or as a student, just starting off in university, I can tell them. I can show them, not just by words, but also doing them myself. And it has been wonderful. So if I want to say it in a sentence, for me, it's a chance to show them a way, not just teaching words. Because at the end of the day in university, most of the job is on the students, not on the instructor. The lecturer and the instructor, they are here to show them a way of studying, a way of approaching the books, a way of surviving in the medical world. So there are thousands of references that they can read. So I'm not here to really teach them words. Yes, we do that as well, but it's more about the way, showing them a way. So that's my answer.
Is there any best idea that maybe you have of a teacher, like how you see it?
Best idea as in?
What is the best teacher for you? How you see this person?
I think the best version of me being a lecturer or a teacher is the one that holds a balance between being strict and also being friendly, because, well, the age gap between me and my students is just a few years. So maybe, for example, someone who is much older can be a little bit friendlier with the students, and it wouldn't hurt the, let's say, respect barrier, the way that they would listen to the lecture. But for me, I understood that there should be a little bit of a balance. There should be a little bit of a barrier to how much friendly I can be with them. But besides it, it's more about, I think the best lecturer for me is, again, the same thing that I said. A lecturer that isn't there just to teach words. They do other things with the students too. For example, well, I had limited time with my students per week, but I tried to teach them other skills too, skills that would help them. For example, I taught them professional presentation, medical presentation skills, how to cite professionally references. This is something that nobody taught me. I learned it myself. But it was difficult, and it is difficult without somebody showing you. It takes a long time to learn it. But I almost had tears in my eyes in my last class this semester because all of my students had perfect professional presentations when they were presenting. And it was just a class presentation, it wasn't a conference presentation. But now I know that they're ready. They know how to do
Once
that.
they will need it, they will.
So they did presentations on anatomy. So they were studying extra topics on anatomy, or maybe clinical topics even that is extra beyond anatomy, but they also gained a skill. They also work together sometimes in groups to do that if they wanted to. So I guess for me, it's a lecture that would do more than just teaching a subject, just showing words on PowerPoint, or just doing that one topic. Now, ideally, a better version of myself would be if I had the opportunity to have more classes, more hours with my students, so I could do more interactive things with them. For example, if I could, the issue is that I didn't have enough time. So I also had to stay on the syllabus that was given to me. But if I had more time, for example, I would have wanted to bring up pictures, not just pictures, interactive pictures, 3D models, take them to cadaver dissection.
To make it more interactive for students
more
to get
interactive, because it's anatomy. At the end of the day, you can't do more than just textbook. What you can do is bring them models, bring them 3D, let's say, models to work with. But what I tried to do was, for example, I taught them how to use AI to help them study anatomy in a professional way, not just, searching something and getting a random answer, besides the professional presentation thing. But if I had more time, I would have wanted to do that, because once per week for anatomy, honestly, it's a little bit too small of a time. Yes, okay, it's 3 hours, but 3 hours per week, not really a lot. When I was a student, I had, I think, 2 or 3 times per week anatomy, and we had it for 3 years. So that's a lot of time to do a lot of things. They didn't do a lot of things with us, but what I'm trying to say is that it gives more liberty to the lecturer to do more than just reading the textbook with the students or showing PowerPoints. Yes, I taught them clinical topics, I taught them diseases as well, even that are within anatomy, but I could do better, I could do more. I just didn't have enough time.
Okay, it's good thing that you mentioned. So the whole idea of doing such kind of interviews is also to find some solution.
I think this is actually an important thing. More time for anatomy is important, because there are a lot of body systems to cover just in one semester. Okay, 3 semesters even, let's say. And once per week is enough to just quickly give an overview to the student. It's good. It's very basic, but we could do better, honestly. They have a lot of free times per week, to be honest. So there are times that they have one full day that is empty. So it could be filled with basic fundamental topics that are necessary for them to learn in the first 3 years, in the first 2 years. Because at the end of the day, they keep repeating these topics, and instead of constantly repeating it, you can do it very good once, and then just pass over them and teach them extra things, better things. Okay.
Good thing you mentioned, so I will take a note in my mind. So, as a teacher, as a lecturer, is there something that motivates you?
When my students ask me questions, that really motivates me. Like, even if they are really easy questions that might show they only read one chapter, it just makes me happy. When they're interested in the classroom and they are listening. So I had this unique experience of this semester being given 3 or 4 extra classes, I think. I have 5 groups, 3 extra classes. 3 extra classes that were not mine in the beginning. They were from another colleague who did not continue the semester, so I was picking up where he left off. The interesting thing is that in the beginning of the semester, obviously the students are not familiar with me. they were not really, interested in the classroom, but seeing this change in them to the point that like after the first midterm in the class, everybody's looking at me, everybody's listening, nobody's on their phones, they are asking questions, they're interested, they're giving me feedback. For example, I did rounds of question and answers, lightning round I called it, just asking questions very quickly from all of them. And they said, this is so nice, like, we don't care about the scores, we don't care about the marks, let's do this more. And I was like, okay, sure, I will do this. So that's the thing that motivates me, when they're looking at me like this, really interested, or when I see that aha moment in them teaching something, it just feels so nice.
It's a good thing. And by the way, you mentioned that once you just take this group, they were not familiar to you, and of course it's for everyone. So I know that thing, and I'm also teaching. So I know once they have such opportunity not to be engaged in a class or do something else, they just need to have this trick in order to
harmless, passive thing of being on their phone or not looking at you. So they don't interrupt the class, they don't disrupt the class.
Yeah, but they are not even engaged.
Yeah, so I can't tell them don't do that. But at the same time, they're not engaged. So
what is your tools as a teacher, as a lecturer, to engage them in the class? You mentioned these quick questions, tool, but also, what else you do?
Honestly, that's the best thing and the only thing that I used to make them a little bit more activated, and it's something that I got from public speaking, because this is, by the way, one of the things that I taught my students also, how to do public speaking, so professional presentation, as I said. But as I was teaching them, I can also mention this because I use this in the classroom. So I could, if I want them to listen very carefully, I talk really quietly like this, and they're going to be like, huh? But if I want them to change the aura, I'd be like, okay, what was that? What was the answer to this? Okay, you listen over here, what was the answer to this one? Instantly changes the mood and atmosphere in the classroom. So they're going to be like, what's going on? What's going on? They're going to listen. And even during the lectures, teaching, it's boring, right? Just teaching something in the classroom. Every now and then I would just raise my voice. So this means let's go back to this topic that I was telling you, and it resets their minds. They just listen in that one moment, and that one moment is enough for me to grab their attention. So that's the thing that I learned in public speaking, again, myself, because I have given so many public speeches already. I'm not an expert by any means, but at least I can say, as a person who is really stressed and nervous all the time about new situations,
I won't say so, actually.
I know it doesn't seem so, because I have been in these situations before. I've done so many interviews and I love them, and I've done so many public speeches and I love doing it. I love doing presentations, so now I feel comfortable, but I'm a really stressy person, to be honest. So after doing it so many times, now I have learned these little tricks, these little small things that I taught my students too, but it works. It works on human beings. So that's what I use, just intonation and asking them questions, grabbing their attention. They may not know the answer, that's fine, but it just interrupts their attention at something else and brings their attention to me.
Good. What about feedback for students? How you do it?
Again, with only 3 hours per week, I don't have a lot of time for a lot of things that might sound very nice to do. But in terms of getting them used to giving feedbacks, when one of their friends comes up to the board, gives a presentation, I give them feedback, and then I ask their friends to raise their hands and give feedback. What was nice and helped them to understand the topic better, and what did they want to see more? I don't say what was bad. I say what needs improvement, what they want to see more. So that's the feedback that I encourage their mind to train themselves to give, because you have to pay attention and you have to know that thing to give feedback on it, right? If you don't know anything about it, you can't give feedback on it. So that's my way of training their mind to pay attention and give feedback. But honestly, I did not have enough time to ask their opinion on myself. I could just see their reaction, what they thought was good. But there was a moment with one of my classes that I felt they're just not engaged with me. They're just not interested in the classroom. So I had a talk with them and I said, look, we can't continue like this. You guys need to be engaged, listen to me, tell me what is the problem, what is the issue that is bothering you. And they told me that we just get bored in the class. So I started these round of question and answers, and they were like, yes, we want more of this. This is great. We don't care about the marks even, because I told them it could be part of their midterm marks. And they said, we don't care about the marks, let's do more of this. So whenever necessary, I do take feedback from my students. Again, if I had more time, it could be something regular, it could be something structured, but since I didn't have time, I do it only when necessary. When I saw there is a problem, I asked their feedback to see how we can improve this.
Okay, this is good thing that you mentioned, that you are open for the feedback of students and you are like working on not on yourself but on the methods you're teaching and trying to find some solutions, because not everyone here is doing that. It's a pity, but we are trying to do something with that.
Because we're working on this together. Honestly, I keep telling my students and myself that in a classroom in a university, it should be like this everywhere, but especially in a university. I like to think it starts like this. In primary school, all of the job is on the teacher. They are teaching everything. Then in high school, it transitions a little bit, so there are extra things that the student can do if they want. In university, most of the job is on the student to read, to be active, to do things. The lecturer is there to solve their questions, answer their questions, give them a way, teach them new skills, show them new ways. For example, yes, medicine is medicine. You can find lectures everywhere, but giving them a vision is something that only the lecturer can do, not any sort of book or any sort of online lectures that they can read. So that's really important. But yes, of course, you should also remain on the syllabus and teach them what they need to know. When you're approaching classrooms in that sense, you need to think of yourself and the student as a team. So it needs to work as a team. They need to say something, they need to tell me what they want, and I need to do my best to provide it for them. I need to tell them what I want, and they need to, work hard to give that back to me. So it's like give and take.
Okay, very good. What is kind of challenging for you here?
Challenging here, time. That's the thing.
That's the only thing.
Yeah, that's the thing I've been saying from the beginning. Because if I was an internal medicine lecturer, I think I would say also some facilities, maybe some equipments. But I don't have that issue, to be honest, because my topic is anatomy. I could say maybe more anatomy models, but theoretically you could teach anatomy even without any models, because now there are 3D models available, there are really great online tools, there is AI, like there are other ways that you could solve that need. You can not need it. And we do have some models. There are some of them that are really broken. They don't. For example, when I was teaching head and neck to my students, I took them to the simulation room. There are many skulls over there, and we worked with the skulls. Whatever I was teaching them, they were finding it on the skull, teaching each other. But one of the skulls was just gone. It was really, really broken. So that could be something. But it depends on the approach of the lecturer. Do they use it all the time? Do they need it all the time? Do the students use them? And that's another thing I keep telling my students: whenever you need to study, you can go to the dean office, ask them to give you this opportunity to go and study with the models. Okay, but it could be a regular thing for them to not actively need to go there, because let's face it, they are students, they will slack off, they will sometimes not do the thing that theoretically even they want to do. So for me, the biggest challenge was time. If we had, for example, twice per week, 3 times per week, I could teach them theoretical stuff for one class. Then we could have interactive, let's say, session at the simulation room, and then one class could be dedicated for extracurricular things, student presentations, skill training, again, going to the simulation room, asking questions, answering questions, completing theoretical matters. And even one session per week, honestly, is not enough for theoretical stuff, because if you want to add even small amount of clinical topics to the topic of anatomy, it needs a lot more time. So for me, in my experience, the challenge was time. I could maybe say other things as well, but really time. And also, there are some things that could be improved. They could be more efficient. For example, we're paper-based with everything, and it could be a little bit more efficient if we allow the students also to be more used to digital technology. For example, the things that they were teaching us to use, like Canvas, I think.
Yeah, Canvas. Oh, by the way, we will change our system, I hope, from September coming year to Google platform, so to Google Education system.
Yeah,
that will
great.
kind
that's one of the
make
things.
the process easier both for students and for lecture, in order, like, there will no problem with this study material and all this stuff, and I guess the whole process will be more like
more smoother. Let me tell you what I mean. For example, my students keep asking what are the references. I could just upload all of the references in the module from the beginning, and also introduce by title some extra reads for them. Second thing, if I ask them for an assignment, I have to check them on paper, and that takes a lot of time. So I'm not able to do a lot of those. But if it was digital and I could, for example, program the platform to check it itself, or even digital checking myself by hand is much easier than on paper. So I could ask them for more assignments, more projects. It would be a little bit more extracurricular and interesting for them as well. Or if I ask them for presentations, instead of having technical issues, going back and forth, turning it into this file, that file, or having delays, which again is not a huge problem. So I'm not mentioning this as a challenge. It's just
a thing that will maybe
it could be more efficient. They could upload it in the platform. I could check it at home even before coming to the class. So it's just more efficient. It's not a problem per se, but if we can be more efficient, why not do it? So the challenge for me was time, honestly.
Okay. How you would describe yourself as a teacher? And this whole teaching process?
I don't know, that's hard. I don't want to sound obnoxious by saying positive things about myself, but I think a peer, I would say, because again, my age gap with them, some of my students are older than me. So my age gap with them is very small. It might help them think of me as a peer, as someone who is, their friend, rather than just a lecturer who is telling them, don't do this, do that. Maybe that's a good thing.
It is.
So that's how I would describe myself. I don't know if I'm a good lecturer, if I'm a bad lecturer, if I'm strict, if I'm not. I could be anything.
I will tell you at the end of this interview that what
really?
opinion they
have.
Feedback?
Of
course.
Oh, that's awesome. I would love to hear
So,
that.
but first I want to see whatever
Yeah.
you see during this teaching process, your opinion to know.
Honestly, I wanted to ask you at the end of the interview, if possible, to give me their feedback because I am a doctor, but I have learned in recent years that I don't want to be a clinician as a job. I want to be an academician. I want to continue academia. Like I want teaching to be my job, whatever shape or form. Maybe administrative, maybe exactly as a lecturer, but I love doing this. So this is my first job as the job that I love to do. So I want feedback to understand what I can improve.
Okay, that's good. Okay, let just me look through because like I'm
Sure,
asking
no
questions
problem.
like from this and that because we're speaking and
Yeah, it's okay.
um, yeah, actually we speak about it, but what is the essential thing that teacher needs to have?
I think the teachers, at whatever level it is, all the way to even residency, they need to remember that their students look up to them, that they're watching them like a hawk. So, yeah, it's not enough to tell them the good thing. You need to do that. You need to show them that because they don't do what you say. They watch you, they might like what they see or they might not like what they see. That's their choice. But if I want to teach them something, if I want to show them something, yeah, if I want to teach them something, I need to show it to them by myself, like being myself. And that's hard because sometimes you're not there yet yourself. You want them to know that that's the best thing, but you're not the best version of yourself just yet. So you can just do the best that you can. But if I was going to give advice to a teacher, like sitting beside me, who is starting a job, I would say they're watching you. Your students are watching you all the time.
Okay, good thing. What you do whenever you have, I guess, like it happens in classrooms, too, especially when you have two like big count of students in one group. And material, it's like it happens more when we have theory. The difference between students like getting the topic. So sometimes you see in the classroom someone understands, someone is not, and what you do in order not to left someone behind.
So usually I pay attention to what they're doing and their reactions. It's not easy to do in the beginning because in the beginning you're not familiar with the mimics of those specific students who are new to you. But there are some mimics that are, universal. For example, looking a little bit confused and not understanding it completely, or looking like, okay, interesting. So that's universal, but sometimes it happens that I think a student hasn't understood it, and I say like, understood? You got it? And they're like, yeah, I understood it. So turns out they were just thinking. They were just really deeply focused on me. And I learn little by little, session by session, that this face means this, that face means that. So it takes a little bit of time, and it helps to have a longer relationship with the students. So having the same, for example, if talking about anatomy is 3 semesters. It helps a lot if they have the same anatomy teacher for all of those 3 semesters, unless they don't want to. But it usually helps because you understand those students and you understand their behavior. You understand that if this student looks like this, they're not understanding it. I need to ask them, did you get it? Do you need me to explain it again? And the other thing is that I have given my contacts to them, email and phone number, and I tell them that day and night you can ask me any question you want. I will answer whenever I can. And they do ask, actually. They do email me, they do text me before exams or even while they're preparing presentations. And it helps because I can immediately answer any question that they have. And the other thing is just the way that I can make sure nobody is left behind is by me being attentive to them, like me paying attention to them. It's their job to pay attention to me and what I'm saying, what I'm teaching, but it's also my job to pay attention to exactly what faces they're showing me and what they're telling me with their mimics. So I guess it's just their mimics. Yes, it's a little bit inaccurate in the beginning of the term because you don't know their faces yet, but that's the best way that you can understand, because sometimes they're just looking at you and they're lost, they're thinking about something else, so you need to snap them back into the class. Sometimes they're confused, sometimes they understand it, they're just focused, and you need time to learn their mimics.
Okay, and what about methods, like not not to be left, like how you engage them in the class?
Look, getting them engaged in the classroom is a different story.
Yeah,
So maybe I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, you mentioned the mimics and the whole process of how to make them attentive. But what about like students that say, yeah, we understand, but actually like the classes is going on, and once they don't get
They
some
don't
topic,
catch up,
yeah.
I understand. So I don't have a lot of that problem with my third year students. Maybe I did in the beginning. Again, like I said, I talked to them and got them engaged because the thing is, they want to impress you. When they have a good relationship with you, they want to make you happy. So they will do the thing that you tell them. But I give them assignments that are not very hard or time consuming, but I can see the results of it. For example, I said, go home and read these chapters, put a piece of paper beside you. While you're reading, you will see things that you don't know, because I don't have time to teach you the whole reference book. I will teach you the most important parts, the difficult parts, and an overview, but there will be things that you find in the reference book that are new. So I want you to read those. Whenever you don't understand something, write it in the piece of paper. I want you to come to the classroom with your pieces of paper. And they did. They actually came up with their pieces of paper. So I can see that they're doing something. But then I spent about, let's say, 15 minutes checking their questions, whatever problems they had. And there I could see who is just pretending to do it and who is actually doing it. So then for those students who are just pretending to do it, I would tell them that, look, this is good, but you did this. You just read it, you found a random word, and you wrote it down. So I guess kind of respectfully exposing them that this is what you're doing. Now what I'm asking you is going to help you because blah, 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 blah. And the thing that I explained to them is that now you have time to read just one anatomy reference book. Actually, you should be reading 3 reference books, but even 1 reference book is enough to pass the exam. Now, later on, when you're doing internal medicine, you don't have time to read 3 reference books, to read extensively and take a lot of notes. You need to be good at separating important things from just unimportant things, and this takes time. It's a skill. You can start it now, slowly get better, or you can start it in 6th year, and it's going to be much harder. You need to do this anyway. So they are actually very logical. You know, when you sit down and talk to them like an equal, like a peer, they listen to you. And at the end of the day, I can't make anybody do something. They need to want to do that. So I can explain it, I can give them assignments, I can do all of these methods, but they also need to want to do this. I can make the class a little bit more interesting, have a good relationship with them, so they would want to be engaged and be impressive, let's say. But otherwise, if somebody just doesn't want this, doesn't want to be in medical school, hates medicine, there's no way I can make them to be engaged in the class. So I guess you can help someone who wants to be helped. If somebody just hates everything about this environment, can't really do much. But yeah, I haven't had a huge problem with my students, to be honest. Yes, you do understand. I think you said you teach as well. When you look at their face, you're asking a question, you know if they have studied or not. So you kind of get it. But I haven't had a huge problem with these students that I have had so far. The ones that were not interested, little by little, they got a little bit more interested, again, by doing extracurricular stuff. Because the theory that we're teaching in the class, it's boring. It makes my good students uninterested. But by doing presentations, other skills, doing different things, clinical topics, they're really interested in clinical topics, they got interested. And that's the thing that helps. That's why I'm saying having more time is going to have better outcome, because you have more time to do these extra things that will actually make them interested in you, in your class, in your topic, so they would do the hard things to do the interesting stuff.
Okay, good. Interesting. Okay, we'll speak about it. And let me run through it.
Take your time, it's okay.
Actually, like, it's not a must to ask all things, just...
No, go on, I'd love to talk. It makes me think too. If you haven't noticed, I love talking.
Okay, can you recall a particularly successful lesson?
Yeah, the very last session that I had with my classes, because that last session I was basically done with the syllabus that I had to teach them, like the target that I had for myself to teach my students. And I told them your activity mark, which is 10 points. 5 points is by your activity in the classroom in general. 5 points is your student presentations. So that last class, they were just answering, asking me questions, problems that they had with anatomy in general, and also giving student presentations. From their questions, I could see how much they understood what I taught them, because they were asking me complicated questions, to be honest. So it means that they were studying. They did understood what I taught them to complicate it themselves. And then from their student presentations, I could see how much they had improved. Like from reading over a text and just putting some slides beside each other to actually giving professional presentations, citing everything. It was delightful to watch, and I got goosebumps when I was just watching them. Like, is this the same student that was presenting in the beginning? And it was collective. So it doesn't have to be necessarily the same student presenting over and over and over again. One of them presents, the next one does better, the next one does better, the next one does better, because they learn from each other. And they did help each other. Like there was one of them that was like, I will teach you how to cite this comma, I will help you. So it was beautiful to just watch that. So I didn't teach anything in that class, but it was particularly successful for me because I could see the results of what I was doing the past semester. So it was very nice.
Very good. So we speak about it, we speak about feedback. Okay. Okay. Last thing, just last question.
Sure.
Is there something that you would like to advise for other teachers, for your colleagues to do, and maybe you have some advice for university? I don't know.
Advice? For university, I could just speak about the challenges that I had, which is time. Again, I've said it so many times already. because it's unbelievable to me to have just anatomy once per week for first, second year students. It's just, I can even say unacceptable. But it's policy, and when I sign my contract, I trust the university that they have a reason to do this. So I will just do my best. I trust the university and the administrative team that they see a reason that once per week is enough, and I'm saying, okay, I will just do my best. But in my opinion, it's not very acceptable to dedicate so little time to such an important topic. It's very basic. Maybe later on they will not directly use it, but it's the basis for everything else that they're going to learn. So that's the advice for university, and doing these feedbacks are also wonderful ways to help improve. But honestly, I don't need to spark an interest in Hypersec University to want to improve. I can see Hypersec always wants to improve. Like the university, the administrative team, they're always looking for ways to improve themselves, even with little resources, and that's beautiful. So I can't say anything about that. The best that is possible is going to happen by the university. I know that already. But advice to another teacher is what I said earlier, that the students are watching you. And that's something that is easy to say, but let's imagine a situation that anything you do is being watched by so many eyes. You could become self-conscious, you could lose your confidence, you could maybe feel irritated, you could have a bad day. You should survive all of those with all of those eyes on you. And the thing is, especially when you're having a long relationship with the students, it's not like one time you do something, you have a bad behavior, they're going to forget it. Because you're going to have a long relationship with these students for many months. So you need to always choose a persona. That's what I tried to do in the beginning, and what I would tell another teacher starting. Choose a persona. What are the characteristics of this person that I want to be going into the classroom? And it should be some framework, not very specific things, but things that are necessary. For example, I should, for myself, I said that I should always have a really specific level of energy, even when I'm sick, when I'm having a bad day, when I've had the worst fight of my life. I should always have a specific level of energy for my students, a level of, let's say, activeness. That is a must. That's just one example. Or I should always ask my students, do you have any questions? For 10 minutes, answer any questions that they have. There are no stupid questions. There are no, I don't know, problems answering repeated questions. So there are a few things that I said, these are my rules as a persona going into the classroom. Because in how many months did I say? In 1 year or 1.5 years of teaching, you could have so many types of days. You could have so many things happen to you. You can't become a different teacher every single time. So choose a persona and some principles for your class and just follow those as a rule, as a book. But other than that, yes, I'm also a human being. I might have different things happening to me, but those should be a must. And remembering that they're watching me all the time, after that, anything else would be okay. Anything else is not going to be affecting the results of my teaching, of teaching the students.
Okay.
And I also want to thank you for doing this, because it made me think a lot about the things that I have been doing and the things that I consider important, unimportant, or positive, negative, like the things that, like I said, principles. It made me verbalize them, say them by words.
Thank you for coming. Thank you for sharing your opinion and sharing your time with me. It's really very important for us and for all university and the way we are going and trying to be there one day. So
Absolutely. I can see it there because the most important and the first
take
thing
it
is just
also.
wanting to do that.
Yeah, it's fine. So